Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming back on to Greatness for Small Beginnings podcast. I'm glad to have you here. Please spread the word that this exists. I would love your feedback. Hit me on Instagram DM, LinkedIn DM, through Facebook, Keith L. Callaway, and let me know your responses. I know you can give them through YouTube. I'm just not really good at finding them there, but I will find them. And so respond and let me know how this is going. I hope you're getting value out of this. Okay, when this podcast drops, we will have voted, right? And that is an important thing. So that being said, I want to get into something here that is a post-vote thought prior to this voting time, because I'm of course recording this a little bit ahead. Does it matter who is president for my finances, for my business, for my family, for my emotions, for my spirit? Well, that's a great question. The reason it's a great question for me is because I think, well, to some degree, yes. The answer is yes, because of how the presidents have started to learn how to use veto power and the power of the pen to get certain things done in regards to tax cuts and different things like that. But ultimately, when it comes to, so it's easiest for me to think about my business. And when I go to work each day, that if I don't get a tax cut or a tax break or the taxes go up, it is usually in relatively small increments. And it's usually also at a time when economy is down, because then the government raises taxes to get more money, and that means the economy is down. It's not chugging along at a high pace. So that means that income is down. And that means that the tax bill is just smaller. But what does that mean for my business? Is it, well, the way I need to react is by doing the more of the things that work more often. The more of the things that work to generate the gross income, so that I can pay for the job costs and then pay for the fixed costs, all the salaries and different things of people that are not on the jobs, and then pay promotion costs to find more people to talk to about my business, about what we can do for them, the solutions we can offer. But when the economy is down, and then there's less dollars, and we're going to have a tax bill. So the more we profit, the higher tax bill is going to be anyway. So bottom line, does it matter who is president? Maybe a little bit in the way I feel when I look at what's happened to the last 3.5 years, and almost everybody agrees with this, is the guy was a buffoon, and a lot of silly things were done and said, and the way to stimulate some of the economy was he took away some of the resources that we could have just had and used. He just
took them away. And so almost immediately, as soon as he became president, and that's frustrating. But did it matter for my business? Okay, let's use the pipeline issue and the fact that the price of fuel went up, and our business is the pricing is related to the price of crude oil to some degree. Our materials that we use are related to the price of crude oil. Now, I'm not sure what happened recently, and the prices just dove down, at least in our area, 50, 60 cents a gallon on gas. Like, I have no idea what's going on there. But I do know that the price went up almost 4 years ago, and it was a big hit. But did it affect our business? Well, it did from the bottom line, the gap between the top line and bottom line and the net profit side of things. Yeah, there was a sliver that changed. And yet we just had to tighten our belts, become a little bit more efficient, and then sell more projects that had a little bit higher profitability in them so that we could get to our goals as a business. And so did a buffoon being in office actually affect our business negatively? Well, over the last 4 years, I would say the economy has been pretty rough in the last year or so. Well, a little over a year and a half, I would say the economy's been pretty rough the last year and a half. And did it affect our business? Yeah, actually, we didn't make our goals, our top line goals. But then I looked at us tightening our belts, and I thought last year was going to be a bust. And we looked at our net profit at the end and went, okay, you know what? We did okay. So does it affect it? It doesn't affect it very much. It's about you and your attitude and your daily activities. Does it affect my finances? Well, to some degree. And I will say, political moment here, those people that vote for a certain candidate in any position that will put money in their pocket, though I understand it, it actually is non-patriotic. Is it morally wrong? Well, I'm not sure it is because it's promoted exactly that way. So no matter what your view is on the illegal aliens and the people coming in the country, they're populating the cities and then given many of them, not all of them, I'm sure, the ability to vote. But they're giving them 7 months worth of rent, a phone, food, you know, deb what we used to call food stamps, giving them food stamps to eat on, all of these things. Well, why wouldn't they vote for the people that are going to give them more of that stuff? Well, as a business owner, I can't see it that way. I've got to pay those bills for my people, for me and my people. And so I won't vote that direction because it's in direct conflict with who I am and the position I am in life. So does it affect my family? Yes, sometimes it affects me directly. But does it affect me financially? Well, sometimes it does, but it's the finance of my family, of my pocketbook is actually on me. And if I had less debt, let's say, putting it to you, I hardly have any debt. Personally, I think I have none. Well, that puts me in a great place of freedom. So the business has some debt. So how do we mitigate that? And how do we get those numbers in the right position? Or if there's going to be some debt for equipment, okay, but how do we get those numbers in the right position so that we have enough cash too to fall back on if we needed it for something? And who knows when there's a crisis? We just don't know. So what about my family? Does the president of the United States affect my family? Well, no. I'm the leader of the family, and each of my kids they lead their families, and it doesn't affect them. Though we often gripe and moan and groan about those presidents and those people and the silly things they do or completely ignorant things they do. But does it deeply or in any stretch of the imagination affect who we are and what we do? Well, it shouldn't to some great degree. Our daily activity, our weekly activity, our monthly activity should continue uh, and be increasingly getting better and increasingly getting better based on the values that we live in, even if our president doesn't hold those same values. So that's my 2 cents as a post election. Like we may have the results on Tuesday because it may be, the numbers, even at 60, 70, 80% may be enough to see what happened, what we're going to end up with. We've had a few over the years. I was just remembering the hanging Chad one back in the 2000s. I think it was Bush Gore. The one county in Florida was likely going to determine the entire election, and that was kind of an anxious moment. Like what in the world is going to happen here? And can my vote matter? Well, yeah, it can. It can. If they disqualify it for some reason, do that enough times, and whoever they is, but just make sure and vote correctly. So anyway, back to how to feel and react after the president is we know who it's going to be. They won't take office until January. So 2 months away, they'll take office. There'll be a transition time. But the main thing that I figured out is to pray for me and my family and pray that it won't matter very much. That it'll be that president will be blessed by God and that he'll listen to God. He in this case, or he or she in this case, that they will listen to God and God's values and God's words. Now, do I have a lot of trust that most of them will? I don't trust that very much, but we are asked to pray for our leaders. And when we pray for our leaders, it gives a different perspective on what they do for us. And often for me, it's caused me to reflect on my personal responsibility of, yes, God's in control and God has a play in this thing. And a leader does not go in to office without him knowing it and without him condoning it. But the other side of that is that we then take responsibility for who we are in much the same way that so God's in control, and yet God gives free will. And we have the free will. He does say that he often controls things within a government to get the end result that he wants that will turn people to view him, to see him, and to have a relationship with him. So that's a deeper perspective for me on post-election results and how it might work out and how it works out in my head and my heart, is that often God will allow us exactly what we don't want because he wants the best for us. And that harder thing, or that thing that we don't like, is exactly what we want. Now, there's microcosms, there's small things like that in their life all the times. So why wouldn't that be the same in politics? Well, there's my encouragement for today. And when you reach out to me and let me know the things that you're doing in your life that and if you would, I would appreciate that how the presidency, how things in the past 4 years you've not allowed them to affect your life. In our business, I'm grateful for this. I'm not bragging necessarily because it's been really hard. Is that we went 4 years ago from about less than 20 people, and now this year we got up to over 60. And it's seasonal, so some of those will be laid off or go away in the winter, and whatever, and get different jobs because we won't be able to work them full time. But that's a big jump in 4 years, in spite of uh, what I would consider a fairly terrible president. So that's an example, hopefully, for you. Let me know what your example is. I would love that. Instagram, LinkedIn, Keith L. Callaway. And also on Facebook, if you want to find me there, that's great. DM me or just send messages through this YouTube, and I'll try to search for them. I'm not a techie, so they don't come in notification on my phone, but I'm going to look for them, watch for them. But thank you for watching. And now I will go to and this fits right in with what I was saying about you being great, you being taking responsibility. The idea is to get on the pathway of being great, and I know you can do that. So Zig Ziglar said, you were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. That's in spite of what goes on in our elections, though we should vote. If we don't get what we want, we are designed for accomplishments, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Now, here's the call to action. Go be great. You get to choose.